First of all, I would like to give very special thanks to Desucon staff members who have given us such a great opportunity to share our views and observations on Japanese comic studies with you. It's a pity we can't make a presentation in Finnish, but I'm sure we'll have a good time. We're going to talk about Japanese comic studies from 3 different perspectives. Firstly, I'll give an overview of how diverse current Japanese comic studies are and what sort of problems these studies encounter. My presentation is based on the results from a project conducted by a team led by Akihiko Ieshima. Secondly, Ryusuke Imai will introduce ways of how we teach cartoon in university. Thirdly, Ishikawa will show you some categories of fan fiction stories, especially those related to yaoi. We will benefit from all your criticisms and suggestions, and we really want to know more about our fellow fans of manga or anime living in Finland. It would be wonderful if we can have a chat after this session with anyone who is interested in studying manga or anime, or with any manga or anime fans. If you're interested in our presentation, please go to the VIP lounge, the upstairs of the Meido Cafe.
Kello 15.30, eli 3:30, ulkona laiturilla järjestetään ruoskademoesitys. Eli jos kiinnostaa käydä katsomassa, niin 3:30, eli kello 15.30, ulkona laiturilla järjestetään ruoskademo. So dear convention users, we have this interesting whip demo at the outside on the platform near the seat at 3:30. So if you're interested, you should go and see it at 3:30 on the outside. Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, to start with, I'd like to ask you some questions. Please raise your hand if you've ever written a term paper or an academic article mentioning comics or otaku culture. Okay, thank you. So have you ever read comics-related academic articles? Oh, thank you. Okay. In fact, many books about comics have been published in Japan since 1930s. Especially these days, more and more university students and young academics have come to choose comics as their research topic. Consequently, comic studies in Japan have become so diversified that even medical research articles sometimes cite comics. Academic researchers mentioning comics have come out of the departments of sociology, psychology, educational research, historical studies, literary studies, media studies, cultural studies, gender studies, psychoanalysis, aesthetics, cognitive science, and elsewhere. The diversification of viewpoints and research methods would probably benefit the development of comic studies. Also, considering that quite a few articles mention comics to support or exemplify their ideas, we easily see that comic studies might be established as an interdisciplinary academic field. However, one problem must be posed here. I'll discuss the problem and also a solution later. Before that, I'll show you some examples of comic studies in sociology and psychology. As for the literary studies, I suppose the lecture by Yu Ishikawa will be a wonderful example. So let's begin with one of my specialties, sociology. At least in Japan, sociology is one of the most active fields of study involving comics or any other popular culture. Especially since 1990s, many sociologists have investigated comics or otaku culture. A variety of research interests are categorized as sociological research, such as fan studies or studies on the history of mass discourse. In my case, I wrote an essay focusing on Desucon last year. I was interested in finding out whether you are into manga or anime only, or you also have an interest in different kinds of Japanese culture. So I made a questionnaire and asked some of you about what aspects of Japanese culture attract you. I'm sorry, this is written in Japanese only. The results show that Japanese language, films, music, and video games interest the respondents, but not that much in traditional culture, clothing, architecture, novels, Buddhism, and Zen. It can be said that those who like manga or anime aren't necessarily interested in Japan itself. And I assume that that would suggest that we should be careful when thinking about so-called cool Japan. Cool Japan is an advertising slogan the Japanese government used to promote culture industries, especially related to manga or anime, to overseas markets. This policy is based on the premise that manga and anime have become popular with the connotation of Japan. They think that overseas fans are consumed with Japan rather than with each media content that they watch. However, I learned from you that manga and anime probably wouldn't be so tightly linked to Japan when it comes to fans' recognition. As my example might suggest, sociological research related to comics tend to mention comics as pop culture or mass media. Because comics have got huge popularity in Japan, we can't ignore comics when we consider the media culture. Seemingly with a similar reason, there are many psychological research mentioning comics. Psychology often investigates comics from the viewpoint of the relationship between reader and text or picture. Some examine comics readers to clarify the prevailing frame of perception, while others argue that comics can have negative effects, especially on children. Here, I'd like to show you one example of psychological research. Ieshima has carried out a survey using a questionnaire on around 200 people and found that characters in comic books can be recognized as an influential figure to the youth, just as TV personalities and athletes are. This implies that people don't necessarily draw a clear distinction between fictitious characters and celebrities in the media. Such an approach like his would lead to a way to describe the imaginary interactions between the media and the audience. And in this light, comic studies in sociology and psychology seem to share common interests. I'd say a difference between them, sociology and psychology, would probably be their focal points. Sociologists would see people's perceptions and behaviors as consequences of social interactions, while psychologists might say that what identifies the unique value of each person is each life story or life history. I've no time for introducing other studies, but the research questions of each comic study have many things in common. They are curious about what aspects of human behavior comics describe and depict, or how comics interact with their viewers. However, as I've said earlier, the diversification in discipline brings difficulty. Firstly, not so many journals give priority to comic studies, and thus papers on comics tend to be published separately in various journals. Secondly, even though quite a few articles mention comics to support or exemplify their ideas, they're not always categorized as comic studies because most of them discuss comics only in a part of their research. Besides, most of the articles and journals they are published in are written only in Japanese, so accessing those articles might be hard for those students and researchers whose first language is not Japanese. These factors make cross-referencing difficult, and that may form obstructions to the progress of Japanese comic studies. Recently, a research project was set up to identify a solution to this issue. The mission of our project is to create a multilingual database that will enable comic researchers to easily find Japanese articles from any discipline within human and social sciences, which cite or reference comics. Due to the huge amount of data, we are currently dealing only with academic articles referring to comic books, not animations. The database service will be offered in 10 different languages, so we hope it will be helpful researchers and students in Finland too. The other day, I read an article telling that the research network in Nordic countries has been set up recently. According to the article, there are many researchers who study comics, and now most universities have at least one comic researcher. I believe our database service will help both Japanese and Finnish scholars. The database service hasn't been launched yet, but it will open soon. I hope you would access the website, about detailed information of the project and the database service. And please let me know if you're interested. I'll be happy to keep in touch with you and send you up-to-date information about this database project. Kiitos.
This cable. Yeah. 脳シグナル。脳シグナル。やりました。あ、いや、メモ、じゃなくて、バック側、はい。さっき。よいしょ。お。さっき言ったんだけど。Freeze. I think it's computer freezed. Computer
freezed, you need to
Okay,
restart
okay,
it.
okay.
ありがとう。
こんなことがフリーズしてました。そんなことあんねんな。
Sori, tää kone kaatui. Kärsivällisyyttä, kiitoksia.
なんかします。Hello everyone. Do you remember me? I have been in first Desucon 4 years ago. So I'm one of the guests of Desucon. So I come back to speaker. So my presentation is very brief. So simple, 3 steps, and introduce myself, and introduce my university, Hanazu University, and then I talked about results of students' efforts in university. So I could not talk about results, the education in Hanazu University, because なんだろうSo 4 years ago, so many students cannot produce their own works, but now for Oh. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, your patience. Oh, okay, okay. I'll come back.鈍いっすね。Okay. Now started my presentation. Education of the otaku by the otaku for the otaku. So, step 1, introducing myself, niche scholar. はいはい。Mainstream of animation studies narratological, author-centric, thematic, psychological or economic approaches. Then often don't tell the difference between animation and manga or characteristics of animation as a moving image. So materials of animations, they can talk. So I decided to answer the fundamental questions. What is animation? Or how is animation different from live action, film, or manga? So I wrote papers. So from drawing body to drawn body, the study on early animation films. So those papers answers the questions, what is animation? Or how did animation history start? I researched the origin animation films. So I made this. So next, the attractiveness of protoplasma Eisenstein's animation theories answers the questions: why do animations attract us? By theoretical methods using psychoanalysis or semantics and so on. So that's all my introducing myself. So step 2, introducing the Department of Creation and Expression. What does the department do? First, call the people who have interest, otaku culture, or try to produce something entertaining themselves and the others together. Second point is more important because なんだろうな、otaku people sometimes persist their own close, small world. So often they often individualist. So I want to join together every otakus. So the students and the teacher. Second, we offer collective modules to support and develop their creative potential, actions, imagination. So we have several lectures, understanding manga, theories of anime. It's my class. History of manga, reading film criticisms, literary criticisms, visual communication, current anime culture, my class. Of course, introduction of researches. And many workshops we have, physical expressions, making short movies, stage performance, digital content, sound design, image processing, linguistic expressions, making short animation. Making animation. Stage performing, and making manga. The third makes efforts to provide a better educational and creative environment for making their own works. That beautiful installations. Why does the department do that? Because manga, anime, video games, cosplay will be more important in the global information technology age. You finish too? What one like what will do best? 好きこそものの上手なれ in Japanese. That is the most effective way to improve one's practical skill in several digital craftworks. That enable to join individualist, I mean, closed otaku, one another and contribute to the society as not mere consumer but skillful prosumers. Prosumers means producer and consumer join together one word. Alvin Toffler, the futurist, say that. And then, third step, I introduce example of the students' effort and results. So, research in Japanese modern popular culture. For example, investigations into cosplayer and the events in Japan. Cosplayer investigates the cosplay. Or produce something interesting and useful. The board games for learning local specialties and sightseeing spots. Do you know Momotaro Dentetsu? Momotetsu? Yeah? Everyone? Oh. So yes. So local specialties we learn so through playing the game. And character studies and design for advancing Hanazo University. So, なんだっけ何て名前でしたっけ花本だるま豚だるまピックでつぼうずつぼ文句and digital craft works, making role-playing games, making RPG, or composing performing Vocaloid songs. Oh? 乗ってくれ。No. No. No. Now.
ねえ顔を上げて
嫌な女は私だもの
そんな君だからさ顔が見たいんだ
左地でもいいの
もちろん僕のお姫様
and making short movies. or promotion videos for Desucon. Thank you. Thank you. That's all. My. どうもありがとう。じゃあ、変わりますね。
Hi. It's my pleasure to make this presentation at Desucon Frostbite. I'm Yaoi Ishikawa. I'm a researcher at Osaka City University, Japan. I'm studying the narrative of yaoi from the viewpoint of literary theory. Today, I'd like to talk about textual adaptation in yaoi, focusing on comic doujinshi. Have you ever heard the term yaoi? Okay. I think you know yaoi, but I will define the term here. In this presentation, yaoi is defined as a fan creation that borrows male characters from an original work and develops their male bonding into romantic relationships. Comics, animation, video games, novels, movies, and other related media act as the source for yaoi. Relationships in yaoi are based on the code of coupling. The two participants in the relationship are referred to as seme and uke, and these roles are generally fixed. The yaoi in this slide is based on One Piece. One Piece is one of the most popular comics in Japan. One Piece is a coming-of-age story with the main character Luffy. He's dreaming of becoming the king of pirates. He grows up struggling against rivals with his fellow pirates. This fan art focuses on two One Piece male characters. Also, it contains narrative elements of the Japanese animation Panty and Stocking with garter belt. This anime depicts the struggle between angels and devils and features two female angels, panty and stockings. The fan art has two male characters from the same pirate family in One Piece, transformed into angels fighting devils. The plot is clearly based more on panty and stocking than One Piece. However, it is read as One Piece fan art and not that of panty and stocking. Thus, while yaoi seems to deviate from the source, yaoi is clearly identified as its derivative. The aim of this presentation is to deliberate this ambivalence in yaoi. I'd like to divide my discussion into three parts. First, I'd like to briefly survey the current state of yaoi in Japan. Second, I'd like to present two categories of yaoi classification. Thirdly, I'd like to demonstrate which elements from the source are the most important for yaoi. In Japan, yaoi is exhibited on websites or distributed at comic conventions. The comic market, called Comiket for short, is the largest comic convention in Japan. It is primarily a place to distribute or sell not only fan work, but also original work by amateur artists. However, fan work, especially yaoi, has a huge presence at the Comiket. It is now a 3-day-long event held twice a year at the Tokyo Big Site. It attracts 35,000 retailers of fan works, called Circle, and about 500,000 attendees. According to research by Akashi Sugimoto, about 70% of Comiket's retail participants are females. I investigated the recurrence of yaoi comic in the comic market catalog using One Piece fandom as a case study. The catalog includes a list of participating fan groups and general information for attendees. Chart 1 shows the changes in One Piece fan art group in the Comiket from December 2000 to December 2010. I have classified each fan art group listed in the catalog into 4 types: yaoi, heterosexual romance, friendship, and unidentified. Yaoi accounts for an average of 70% of One Piece fan art groups. A detailed analysis of the data of One Piece fan group shows that certain pairings are popular. Table 1 shows that Zoro and Sanji coupling has always been popular in One Piece fandom. Zoro and Sanji belong to the same pirate family but are rivals. Mari Nishimura points out that a source text should fulfill 3 conditions for adaptation as yaoi. That is, male bonding, rivalry, and isolation from private domains. The relationship between Zoro and Sanji fulfills these conditions: fellowship in adventure, rivalry owning in similarity in age, and struggles against other pirates, resulting in isolation from everyday life. Yaoi fans find romantic and/or erotic factors in the original homosocial relationship and develops another narrative. How do yaoi fans develop their narratives? Based on the method of text transformation, I have classified yaoi narratives into 2 types by applying the concept proposed by Gerald Junet. The first is pragmatic transformation, or transforming the plot from the original. A spin-off also describes this type. The second is diegetic transposition, with diegesis defined as the space-temporal world in narratives. The former has greater similarity with the original than the latter. Or in other words, the latter deviate more from the source. For instance, adaptation where One Piece characters are set in Japan's Edo period would belong to this type. It is known as parallel in Japanese. Today, I'd like to focus on the latter. According to Eiji Otsuka, yaoi adaptation as parallel is quite different from the source text. If we consider the example I mentioned earlier, although the plot of the yaoi is quite different from the One Piece, it is identified as One Piece fan art and not that of panty and stocking. Why is it identified as deriving from a certain source? This is because certain traits of characters are identical to those of the source. For instance, the picture on the left is of Zoro as depicted in One Piece. The one in the center is Zoro-kin in yaoi. And the one on the right is Stocking in Panty and Stocking. As table 2 and these pictures shows, Zoro-kin in yaoi shares great visual similarity with Zoro in One Piece. Hiroshi Odagiri indicates that characters in comics composed of 4 elements: proper name, attribution, internality, and visual attributes. He also points out that character can be transformed and can deviate from the original as long as a part of these components is retained. Thus, yaoi adaptation can deviate from the source to depict the ideal story for yaoi fans by using this property of character. For instance, in the fan art of One Piece and Panty and Stocking, Zoro-kin and Stocking of Panty and Stocking, though not visually similar, share other characteristics. As an angel, Zoro-kin lives with Santi as his partner. He is not the swordsman bravely fighting for his Captain Luffy as in One Piece. To depict the romance between Zoro and Sanji, the fan art transforms the diegesis, the plot, and some character traits. My research reveals that all One Piece yaoi replicate the visual characteristics of the original. This suggests that the visual element is rather important for yaoi adaptation in One Piece fandom. Yaoi develops variant narratives of male couples by text transformation, while retaining some aspects, especially visual, of original characters. Thus, the context of the source is decentralized and an alternative narrative focusing on male romantic relationship is emphasized. Yaoi adapts, redefines, and manipulates the preferred meaning of the source to create alternatives. Thank you. You got